بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله، أما بعد. أصحاب السعادة، سيدات والسادة، رواد ورائدات الأعمال، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مساكم الله بالخير وأهلا وسهلا فيكم. يفخر TDF جرو لنمو الأعمال السياحية من صندوق التنمية السياحي أن يرحب بكم هذه الليلة في هذه الجلسة التدريبية الجماعية، واللي تستهدف إلهام رواد الأعمال الطموحين وتطوير طاقاتهم وإمكاناتهم من خلال مجموعة من التدريبات والموضوعات أيضا والمناقشات القيمة. اليوم نتحدث وإياكم حول السياحة البحرية والساحلية، والتي باتت بالتأكيد تشهد تطورا كبيرا في مملكتنا الحبيبة. نستعرض اليوم وإياكم في هذه الدورة التدريبية بإذن الله عدد من الموضوعات والفرص، من أبرزها مفاهيم حول السياحة البحرية والساحلية، وأيضا الفرص في مياه المملكة، والتعرف على تجربة العميل خلال رحلته، والحالة الشاملة أيضا لتجربة العميل خلال الرحلة. قبل البدء ضيوفنا الكرام نود الإشارة إلى إتاحة الجلسة باللغتين العربية والإنجليزية، مع توفر خيار الترجمة عبر الضغط على أيقونة الكرة الأرضية بالأسفل واختيار اللغة المفضلة لديكم. سيدات والسادة، يتحدث إليكم الليلة السيد خوسيه مانويل أباروا، أصله من إسبانيا ونشأ في لندن ودرس القانون وحصل على شهادة الجامعية من جامعة دورهام. يعمل حاليا في أكسنتشر كجزء من فريق الابتكار في مدريد، وتخصص في مجموعة متنوعة من المبادرات التي تركز على السياحة. الآن نرحب بالسيد خوسيه للتفضل بالحديث.
Well, thank you. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our second sectoral course on tourism, where today we deep dive into coastal and maritime tourism, a sector that has become very important and full of opportunities in Saudi Arabia. In today's session, we will explore the following set of topics. In the first section, we will look at the different maritime and coastal tourism trends in Saudi Arabia and the projects which the kingdom is currently focused on. Section 2 will look at what maritime and coastal tourism actually is and what distinguishes them from one another. We further deep dive into some theory and introduce the concept of customer journey experience and what the key components of this journey are. We will decipher these concepts by taking a look at a case study. Lastly, in section 3, we introduce an illustrative case of two entrepreneurs who have recently started a snorkeling business and list out the different customer personas and how each of the customer personas are tied to their respective customer journeys. Today, I am both happy and excited to present this deep dive on this very relevant topic to help paint a picture of the different levels of opportunities available in Saudi maritime and coastal segments. So, join me as we sail together and explore the wonders and opportunities of Saudi Arabia's coastal and maritime sector. To start off, it is imperative that we first understand the existing landscape and development of Saudi Arabia's coastal and maritime sector. Did you know that Saudi Arabia's Red Sea coastline stretches over 1,769 kilometers, while the Arabian Gulf stretches 560 kilometers? That's a total of 2,329 kilometers of untouched beauty, offering vast opportunities. In Saudi Arabia, of the top 20 cities, 5 of those cities are located along the coastline, with a population of 30 million. Jeddah, Saudi Arabia's second largest city, alone has a population of 4.8 million inhabitants. Approximately 15% of the country's population are located along the coastline of the kingdom. It is estimated that by 2030, the $13 billion USD investment launched into the Asia region in order to develop its coastal tourism hub will attract over 10 million visitors. So, now that we have set the context of Saudi Arabia's coastal and maritime landscape, let us explore some of the key projects that are currently in the pipeline and understand and are under development. So before we go any further, I want everyone to have maybe 10-15 seconds to have a quick think about what are the 3 key projects that are currently under development in Saudi Arabia. Let us begin by taking a look at the Red Sea development. We briefly touched on this in the last session. The Red Sea development, or the Red Sea project, is a project that has the objective of setting new standards in regenerative tourism across 90 islands, with the ambition of encouraging visitors to explore the wonders and rich cultural heritage of Saudi Arabia's Red Sea coast. Secondly, we have the Amala, which has been designed to evolve and elevate the very best in travel. Amala is located along Saudi Arabia's coast and is a global wellness, ultra-luxury destination nestled along the Red Sea. Lastly, another very interesting project that is currently in the pipeline is Cruise Saudi. Saudi Arabia has some of the world's calmest waters, historically rich coastal communities, and premium beaches. Cruise Saudi is set to connect Saudi Arabia to the world. So now that we have an idea of what is currently happening in the waters and on the shores of Saudi Arabia, do you actually know what coastal and maritime tourism is? I'll give everyone maybe, again, 20 seconds to have a quick think about what coastal and maritime tourism means to them. Well, first of all, as you might have assumed, both forms of tourism are distinct from one another. Coastal tourism refers to land-based tourism activities that occur along coastal zones, most notably along the shore and in the water, immediately adjacent to the shoreline. Maritime tourism is the sector of tourism industry that is based on tourists and visitors taking part in sea-based activities. To fully understand their differences, let's distinguish them through a few key examples. So as we have seen, coastal tourism revolves around activities that are located around the shore coastline. Notable examples of such activities are the following. We have things such as fishing, swimming and sunbathing, beach gastronomy, beach accommodation, beach sports, and so forth. On the other hand, maritime, while similar, is a form of tourism that is purely located in the water and off the coastline and land. Activities include the following. We have snorkeling, scuba diving, fishing, boating, going on a cruise, surfing, blue water sailing, and so forth. Now that we have a better understanding of both forms of tourism, having seen examples of both forms, let us deep dive into how both are applicable to Saudi Arabia. As we know and have learned, the coastal and maritime tourism segments in Saudi Arabia are still nascent and in its infancy. SMEs will play a vital and pivotal role in helping establish and develop these exciting segments. Developing Saudi Arabia's coastal tourism and maritime sector does not just require the involvement of large established enterprises and government entities. It also requires the entrepreneurial and innovative drive of SMEs and entrepreneurs, much like yourselves. Some of the roles that one might acquire are the following. We have things such as job creation. Small businesses help empower and create employment for both local and regional communities. We have innovation, providing new ways of thinking, fresh perspective, innovative solutions with limited red tape and quicker go-to-market implementations. Complement large businesses. Small businesses have the flexibility in responding to market needs and help supply and outsource the required capabilities to large enterprises. Now that we have highlighted that SMEs are set to play a vital role in the establishment of these two sectors, it is paramount to deep dive into understanding what customer journeys are and how they will impact your business. In this section, we look at what constitutes the customer journey, and later on, we detail an illustrative case showcasing the different components and considerations of the different personas. So, without further ado, let's get started. Before we move on to the next slide, I want everyone to have a quick think of what comes to mind when they think of customer journeys, if anything. Again, maybe 15, 20 seconds to have a quick think, and then we will go through it together. A customer journey refers to the complete sum of interactions that a customer has with a company, end to end, from brand discovery to purchase and post-purchase. For SMEs and startups, detailing out your customer journey experience is a fundamental and an important aspect when it comes to fully understanding the needs of what you want and what your customer wants, from the first interaction to the last point of contact. So how do we actually develop a customer journey, and what are the key elements that are required? Again, I'll give everyone maybe 10, 15 seconds to have a quick think about what they think the key elements are when it comes to developing a customer journey. Well, there are 4 key steps and considerations to keep in mind. Firstly, we need to set clear objectives for the mapping. Understanding the objectives of why you are creating a customer journey to, who is it specifically about, and then we can start creating a buyer persona. Secondly, we need to accurately profile and highlight our target personas. Conduct research on your customer base and narrow your focus on a select few customer personas. Thirdly, we need to list out all the customer touchpoints. List out all the touchpoints your customers and prospects are using, giving you an insight into what actions your customers are performing and what they require. And lastly, we need to identify the different elements of what you want to highlight in your map. The customer journey will touch upon every aspect of a business, so it is important to highlight potential areas of focus or improvements. Now, let's take a look at how a customer journey mapping may be laid out in an illustrative case. Maha and Abdulaziz are two entrepreneurs based out of Jeddah who have identified an untapped business opportunity within Saudi Arabia's growing maritime tourism sector. Inspired by the different TDF courses and having applied the principles from the Business Model Canvas course, they would like your help in mapping out the customer experience journey for their startup. Inspired by the pristine beaches and untouched coral reefs, their snorkeling business will offer customers the opportunity to explore the various corals and aqua life along the Red Sea. With an established business in place, they look to you in helping them map out the customer journey. So as we have seen, there could be different types of clients, customers that Maha and Abdulaziz could service. In the next slide, I've drawn out a quick matrix with the different components, and I'd like everyone to have a quick think of what these key components could be, what could we place on our X and Y axis of our graph, and then we will look at it. We'll look at it together. Well, firstly, one aspect to consider could be the customer's spending power. Some customers' discretionary spending could be higher than others, and comfort may be more important than saving. On the other hand of the spectrum, cost-conscious customers would be more inclined on finding the best bargains possible. So let's plot spending on our X-axis. On our Y-axis, we can consider time. Some customers may want to pack in as much experience as possible in a given amount of time and would thus like to maximize their utility as much as possible. On the other hand, there are customers who are less pressed on time and are more time independent, and as a result are willing to spend more time on the experience and the journey. So now that we have our quadrants, let's see what our customer archetypes are that could fit within these four quadrants. On the time sensitive and comfort in the top right, we have the busy traveler. These are travelers that are on the go and want to ensure that they maximize their experience in as short a time as possible. They are willing to pay for convenience. The opposite of the comfort seeker and time sensitive is the savvy traveler. The savvy traveler is willing to live for the experience. This new generation of travelers want to see what there is on offer while still maintaining economical pragmatism. Customers that are price conscious and time sensitive are classified as budget conscious. Often travelers that are price sensitive want to ensure that they carry out research before they go on their journey to get the best price possible. Hence, the customer gets what they paid for. Opposite to the budget conscious are the time independent and travelers who seek comfort. These are the generous travelers. These travelers are willing to pay and spend to enjoy the finer things. This category of traveler values experience over monetary cost. So before we draw out the customer journey for two of the mentioned customer archetypes, let us first describe the envisioned journey of Maha and Abdulaziz's snorkeling startup. In the first stage, we have booking the trip. In phase one, the customer develops the interest and urge to go snorkeling and decides to begin researching and evaluating the different snorkeling options and selects their preferred snorkeling provider. In the second stage, the customer prepares for their trip. The customer prepares their travel arrangement and researches the required necessities and signs any required waivers issued by the startup and heads towards the snorkeling company, ready to go. On the actual journey, we have the boat ride. Arrangements are carried out, safety instructions are given, and insights and information are given about the marine life, the do's and don'ts, and the customer gets on the boat. In stage 4, we have snorkeling. The boat is anchored and the customer spends the day swimming in the crystal clear waters of the Red Sea. Food and beverages are handed out during the day, and after a full day of snorkeling, the customer is transferred back to land. And in the last step, in phase 5, we have post-activity. Customers are asked to share their feedback and give the option to purchase pictures and souvenirs. To retain customers and grow their presence, the startup collects the customer's details. So now that we know our archetypes and journey steps in Maha and Abdulaziz's startup, let us apply the customer journey for two of these archetypes. We'll begin with the affluent customer. The affluent customer looks for the best package to ensure an optimum experience. They're happy to spend more for better quality and value-added services. So, how does the affluent customer actually go about his journey? Well, there are a few set activities. Firstly, they must have an interest in snorkeling. Then they will do their research on different locations and vendors before finally selecting a vendor and booking. They'd be picked up in cars and taken to the snorkeling offices. There, the customer would receive welcome drinks and would be briefed on the procedures. They would receive the highest quality equipment for the snorkeling. The customer would wait in a lounge until their boat is prepared. There would be pictures taken of the customers throughout the day for memorabilia. Then once the boat is prepared, the customers would be ferried out to the snorkeling site via a private boat, so that it's only them with either their family or their group of friends. There would be a private guide on board for the snorkeling to guide them through the corals. There would obviously be the highest level of gourmet catering provided throughout the day. And as I just mentioned, the tour guide would take them underwater. They would take images of the customers. And then the customers would be ferried back to land, given the images and pictures that have been taken throughout the day as memorabilia. And then they'd be escorted back to their accommodation where they'd be dropped off. And finally, in post-activity, a key point for the startup is that the representative of the company should follow up on the customer's experience through the medium of a survey or something along those lines. For our second archetype, the value optimizer, the stages are exactly the same. However, the set of activities look a bit different. The value optimizer looks for comfort experiences, but at the best price possible. They want to balance reliability and affordability. In terms of the actual set of activities, the value optimizer would again begin by developing an interest in snorkeling, doing their own independent research on different locations and vendors before finally selecting a vendor and booking with a snorkeling company. Then they would arrive at the jetty on the day of the snorkeling, where they would be briefed. The customers would receive their diving equipment. Again, pictures would be taken throughout the day. However, there would be an additional charge if they wish to purchase them at the end. The customers that would be ferried via boat to the diving location with the customers. Then the customers would spend all day diving and snorkeling the corals and enjoying the scenery. Again, would be water and soft drinks provided throughout the day. And then they'd finally be ferried back to land, given the memorabilia if they wish to purchase it, so the pictures and images that have been taken along throughout the duration of the day. And finally, someone from the startup would receive feedback again through the medium of a survey in order to see how they can continue to develop their business. So there are a few key differences, really. The affluent customer gets higher quality equipment. They travel on a private boat with only their friends and family and don't have to share the experience with all the customers. They get given a guide throughout the day to show them the corals and take pictures throughout the day. All of those pictures and images would be given as part of the package, whereas the second archetype, the value optimizer, would have to pay an additional charge. So based on today's session, a couple of things have been highlighted and the following key messages have hopefully been conveyed. Firstly, Saudi Arabia has an array of opportunities in both its coastal and maritime tourism sector that are not yet fully developed and explored. Secondly, Saudi Arabia's maritime and coastal tourism ecosystem is not only comprised of a large established businesses, but that SMEs will also play a large role. And finally, to launch a business, entrepreneurs should make sure they understand their customer archetypes and have a clear view of the end-to-end customer journey. So thank you very much for joining me in today's session. And should you have any questions regarding the TDF growth or the course itself, please direct your questions to the following email, which is currently up on screen, and someone from the team will get back to you shortly. And just finally from me, once again, thank you for taking the time to listen to today's presentation, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So thank you.
شكرا للسيد خوسيه، وشكرا لكم أنتم أيضا حضورنا على إضافتكم وتواجدكم وحسن استماعكم وإنصاتكم. نلتقيكم على خير، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.